It is now the next morning and I am going to carry on with a little bit of work on this dash. So what I want to do now is I need to design the actual background / layout of what we want. So I've just brought up one of my other backgrounds, as use that as a template for the correct sizing. I'll open up one of the RPM files. So we have the basic size with the Powertune, and I've got one of my images here, which will be one of the rev sections as a sample. And now I'm going to decide on what else we want on the dash. Normally I just have a wee scribble on a bit of paper, trying to decide the parameters which I want on there. So it's with the likes of the Street Fighter dash, which I was going to kind of semi-copy with this. It actually pretty much took up the whole thing. And I put health bars, because it's a fight scene, so I might do the same. And then I had a black bar down the bottom, with more details, like for me, for example, what gear and everything I'm in. I might do it the same. I'll see how it scales if I bring this right up and I put a blank bar. I don't want to cut off like half of his belly to have the information, so I might 3/4 fill this and have the bars there, and then like a strip of information down there or something. But that's something I'm going to be playing with now. So I've roughly decided how I want to do it. I'm going to have this pitched up here. It'll be a black background, and I'm going to have a sort of a border around there. And going to have RPM and coolant as the health bars. RPM on this side, because just the way the gauge goes, you want to smash it to the limiter when he's on the ground dying. Coolant is just going to hover, hopefully never in the red, but you know, things happen. Over here I'm going to have speed and a selection of parameters from the ECU, you know, like oil pressure, oil temp, blah 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 blah. And if you hit a limit, this guy's going to pop up on your screen and point over there to draw your attention to whatever one is flashing. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get a black background, I'll make a nice border for this and a border for these guys, and we'll make a wee mask. This is going to be for my gear position. So Lois is going to be holding up a signboard with what gear I'm in, but the picture on its own was a bit boring, so what I've done is I've taken this gif of her spinning her tongue. What have I done? And I've taken this image and I've modified her hand. I've redrawn her arm so that she can be holding onto the gearboard. So I put that spinning tongue on her. I might add another couple of animations. Put the elbow behind that board, and then it's just a matter of putting reverse, neutral, blah 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 blah. So what I've done here is I've cut off her hand and I've made it into a new layer. That's the arm and that's the gearboard. So now I'm going to put the gearboard in between the arm and the hand layer. So now it is behind. So it looks like she's holding it up. In a separate screen, I've just been through and created all my gears and saved them all one at a time, so that I can have those with a white background stacking on top of each other inside that section there, which I used as a template, so that when it goes onto the Powertune I can load that GIF into a certain spot, which I'm going to show you how I get things right soon, and then I'll load the gear in a certain spot, and then once I get one I can copy paste a pile of stuff and I don't have to do all the code individually. So here's the first preview of what it's going to essentially look like. This is still just in Photoshop right now, so I have used a font that's available on the Powertune, that's why I've used it. So what I'm going to do is now break this down and save it in its individual components. So I'll have black background, or no background. Then I'll have this section here, which is going to be a GIF at idle, and then staged state images, and then GIFs at higher RPM. Then there will be a mask layer over the top, so it'll be black like this with the writing, Family Guy, won't have her, have the border, and that will go over the top of this, and then there'll be those guys we put in as a layer, the health bars, and then this versus and the coolant will be put in as another layer on top of that, so that they can be stacked up on top of it. That's how I want it. This will be a state image, so it won't normally be there. This will be a state GIF, so it'll be wherever, or all of this here will not be in the PNG files that I'm saving right now. They'll all have to be added in on the Powertune once I've done it. So yeah, basically I'm going to start removing items, saving individual PNG files, and then start transferring it to here, and then begin the layering process. So now I've stripped everything away that I don't want. So this will be my, what I call my mask. So now I'm going to save this layer as a PNG. So that's one layer done. So all else I need to save is that for at the top. So as I say, now this will make sense. Now I'm going to save this. Obviously this will all be transparent, but I can have this as the same size and location as the background, and I don't have to think about placing it in the right spot. Now I've got all my files done. It's just a matter of using WinSCP and transferring everything over. You'll notice that I am doing this with the Powertune on my desk. It's simply just because it's easier. I can do it in the garage too, but it's winter and it's warm in the lounge. So as I'm mostly finished on the computer for now, I've just plugged my mouse into the Powertune itself, quite handy. So clear this away, clear, import, no, what am I doing? Add image. So although at some point this will be a middle-ish layer, I'm going to put it as a background now so I can build everything on top of it. And FG mask is what I want. You can do this, I'm not going to do it this way, but you can add your backgrounds as backgrounds, but I prefer not to. I prefer to have them as images, so that if you want to chop and change between your layouts, it deletes the background when you delete it. Rightio, 800 is what I'm after. So I've got the background, well this is the mask, but I'll use this as the guide to get everything where I want it, and then I will change its order later on. State image, ECT, 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 right, ECT, not with the E's. Trigger, I'm just going to leave it as 1 for now, it actually doesn't matter, because I'll correct that in the text file later on. So I've got the engine temperature and coolant temperature and the rev counter health bar in their position now. Now going to chuck on the first GIF for here. So that is now covering the bar gauges that I put in there and all the other stuff. So I'm kind of done with my layering work, the basics now. So what I'm going to do is export, and now I'm going to find it on the computer. I'm going to correct the layering on the computer, send it back over, and then carry on. should be dash 2 export. Yep, I recognise those files, yep. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the one that says mask and I'm going to cut, I'm going to paste it there so it's on top of those items, and then also idle GIF, cut, I'm going to put that guy there, and that should be the correct layering. Save as, I'm going to throw that back into there. Now we're going to go onto the Powertune again, clear this off, and import Family Guide, the one that I've just modified. State image, or just, no, add image. I'll put the versus label on top. There's a lot of RPM stuff I've got to input, but I can do that mostly in the text files now because I've got my positioning of these main items sorted. So it's just a matter of copy pasting the item location and then just changing the triggers. State GIF, I'm going to add Lois in for my gear position. Lois with your crazy tongue. So that's Lois. Right, we'll do another state GIF for my gears. Can't remember the layer order, but there we go. That looks like that's pretty good to me. Gear 1. I'm not going to bother fixing this because I'm just going to pinch this off another text file I've already got. Later on, all I care about is getting the positioning correct. I'll quickly hit save in case anything accidentally happens. Right, so we've got gears, we've got all this carry on. What else did I want? I guess the monkey. Now I might try something slightly clever with this guy as well, so that he's not visible when your car's not running, because obviously you're going to have oil pressure alerts when your car's not on. So I might make it so he's hidden when there's 0 RPM. He's mostly pointing at oil pressure, and that's I guess that's an important one. It's to draw your attention to all your parameters if there's something wrong. Add text, and we're going to go with, I chose white seashell, that'll do. And as much as it pains me, the most common font I use is Nissan, and then we will go Boost. There you go. Use data source. I've finished adding in all of the text files. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another screen that's going to be sort of mimicking this here. It's going to have a transparent here so you can see all of this data. But so when there's 0 RPM, there'll be another layer over the top of this and another copy of this GIF over the top of him, so that you can't see him doing that at 0 RPM. So basically you won't see him unless something's wrong, is the plan. Now all I've done is I've taken a cut out of there and there and there and there so that it's transparent, so that can be a top layer to hide the evil monkey. Here's where we've reached the tedious part of the build, is modifying the text files. So as I said that I was going to make the top layer so that the monkey man was hidden, I have succeeded. So they theoretically are all in error, and he is there, just behind there. But there is an extra layer of this GIF and an extra layer of this background that is currently over the top of him, and they will disappear once you hit 1 RPM. So I just didn't feel the need for a warning the entire time when your car wasn't running. So that is that. And here is the beginnings of the text. So here's all the text labels. I'm just trying to bulk everything into sort of areas. So these text labels are all of these. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to go through getting them straight. They are not bad, but I've got the ability to make them exactly the same. And then it's a matter of, well, this is what we're going to end up with. I thought this was big. Might end up with double this on the next one, so I'm generally not going to film all of it, and especially since I can pretty much copy paste like all those water temp data, send it over here, and change the name from SF to what do you call it, FG for Family Guy, and change the position, and that is going to be all done for me already, because I have the ability to rob my own previous work, which is why I'm probably going to end up with a style, you know what I mean? So this dash is still going to take me, I reckon, probably 12 hours, maybe 14. No, 12 hours should have it mostly done. So I have got to the point where I could do a much simpler version of this, or a much more basic thing, in probably a lot less time. But I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in making it more difficult every time, and just seeing what I can get away with. I've got another layout in my head that I want to do, but there's a few items which I can't figure out how to get it done. I've got some ideas, but that's for a later video. But for now I'm going to carry on just plodding along, mucking around with these text files. I'll show you the monstrosity of it when I'm done, and we'll end up testing this on my car. A little bit of progress. So I now have, this is the state gauge, which matches up the state GIFs. So that's your idle, and then I've got 66 state images, which are going to be every 75 RPM, between 1775 and 6650, and then the GIFs take over again. So I've got all the labels correct, I've got all the positions correct. Now I just need to go through and adjust the targets, which is this number here, 1775. So I need to make that go up in 75 RPM increments. So I've just obviously copy pasted the one I did 66 times, well 65 times, and now I'm just going to edit the data, and we're getting pretty well underway here. If you're wondering why it's taking me so long to finish my Family Guy layout, it's because this is what's required for me to test it. It's the only car I've got with a Powertune on it, and I keep on selling all the ones that I've got on my benches. So yeah, I've got to fire this thing up to test them, and it is not something I can do when I get home at night. That is it. The most in-depth process I've done, and probably ever will do, on how I get those layouts done. Thanks for watching, guys. be back to some of the more normal programming, doing a bit of actual work on cars very soon. So yeah, I'll see you in the next ones. Cheers.